Some of the troops Donald deployed to Los Angeles last month are finally heading home, but using the National Guard as props in a political stunt, that is going to leave a grievous wound on this country. Here's ABC News with a report.
Breaking news as we come on the air at 3. The military presence in Los Angeles is being reduced. The Pentagon confirming that 2,000 California National Guard troops are being withdrawn. President Donald Trump authorized their deployment to protect federal buildings and personnel following protests of immigration operations in Los Angeles. They were part of a 4,000 National Guardsmen that were sent to the city along with 700 active duty Marines. The deployment has been controversial and the center of legal challenges. California Governor Gavin Newsom argued the deployment was illegal and unnecessary.
And I would add unconstitutional. It is not just Newsom or Democrats who are calling the deployment unnecessary or illegal. Guardsmen themselves are speaking out. Now, technically, military orders bar them from talking about the federal deployment, but that hasn't stopped some of them. Several told reporters that morale is absolutely tanking. The New York Times spoke with 6 Guard members, 2 in leadership roles. They called the deployment a quote unquote fake mission. And when leaders raised objections, they were ignored. The mental strain has been not inconsiderable. It's been reported that at least 105 soldiers sought mental health counseling during the deployment. Opposition soon turned into open defiance. One source told the Times, quote, "Some troops became so disgruntled that there were several reports of soldiers defecating in Humvees and showers at the Southern California base where the troops are stationed, prompting tightened bathroom security," unquote. But it wasn't just the guardsmen's extreme discomfort with the mission itself that bothered them. It was the feeling that they weren't doing anything, that their time was being wasted. Those things really got under their skin. To put it bluntly, they were bored out of their minds. And I'm pretty sure this is not what they signed up for. A source told the LA Times that only 3% of the 4,000 troops were involved in daily missions, saying they were mostly just, quote, sitting around, unquote. I mean, I guess that makes sense considering the function of the National Guard is respond to actual emergencies. And this was a fake emergency that Donald made up out of whole cloth just to make a point. So I understand the National Guard's frustration when they showed up believing that they were there to do something important, and it turns out there was nothing for them to do at all. The Intercept confirmed a startling data point. Over 40 days of deployment, the National Guard detained one person who was neither a protester nor a criminal. Quote, "The man, Marcos Leo, was not involved in any protest. The former Army combat engineer who gained U.S. citizenship through his military service told Reuters that he was in a rush to get to an appointment in the Veterans Affairs office inside the federal building. When he crossed a strand of caution tape, he found an armed Marine sprinting towards him," unquote. Yeah, those are the people the Trump regime is protecting us from. Vets trying to get service in a building that is being guarded for no reason at all by National Guardsmen whose time is being wasted while our resources are being wasted. All so Donald and the Trump regime can essentially prove to the American people that they can go anywhere they want to go at any time to scare us. Before we go on, just remember, we here at Mary Trump Media are not corporate media. We will continue to call out Donald's corruption and lies and misuse of our precious resources every single day. Independent media survives because of you. So please like and share this video. And if you're with us, please subscribe to our channel. Donald's power grab was illicit because remember, he federalized California's National Guard against the wishes of that state's governor. And that power grab didn't just break trust within the National Guard, or I should say between the National Guard and the government. It broke the trust between people within the National Guard and those they are meant to serve, their fellow American citizens. Being political pawns is not why people sign up to join the National Guard. This mission ruined their relationship with the general public as Angelenos cursed them and told them to leave their city, even though many of them probably are from there. This is in stark contrast to the last time the Guard was deployed in January in response to the devastating wildfires. So now, many are deciding to leave the service altogether. According to the New York Times, during the deployment, 72 California National Guard soldiers were set to reach the end of their enlistment. But according to Governor Newsom's office, at least 2 have already left, and 55 more have said they are not re-upping their enlistment. It should be noted that the National Guard has the highest Hispanic population of any other military service, with 40% of California's National Guard being Hispanic. So you can imagine how relying on defending ICE could cause turmoil within the Guard, ultimately deterring enlistment from the very community it relies on. As it is, members fear that Donald's illegal deployment will, quote, hurt recruitment for the state-based military force for years to come, unquote. So what happens next? What happens when the next natural disaster hits California? We know that natural disasters are getting more and more severe, in large part because regimes like the Trump regime are doing nothing to make climate change slow down. In fact, they are accelerating it. What happens when there is a real emergency? What happens if there is an actual riot? Things like that happen. And we know that Donald in particular, and the Trump regime in general, is actually itching for a crisis just like that. Who is going to be there to help Californians or people in any other blue state at the rate we're going get to safety, stay safe, get the resources they need to weather whatever that crisis is? We don't know, because Donald Trump continues, 1, not to know what the hell he's doing, 2, is much more dedicated to dividing us than bringing us together, 3, is continuing through his egregious and failed policies to make all of us less safe. He also, of course, and I think this should go without saying, but it bears repeating, knows absolutely nothing about service. And I have to be honest with you, on a personal note, I find all of this almost beyond bearing, because my dad was a second lieutenant in the National Guard, and that was one of the things of which he was most proud in his life, his extremely short life. I think it's safe to say that this whole thing will not end well for Donald. People are seeing his federalizing of the National Guard and his deployment of actual military within a blue state for what it was: a way to instill fear while wasting millions and millions of dollars in taxpayer money. Actually, it's more like hundreds of millions. And that tab is growing, because despite having nothing to do in California, only half of the guards are going home. Governor Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass are pushing for the Trump regime to remove the other half, as well as the 700 Marines who are also still deployed and bored out of their skulls in Los Angeles. In August, a federal judge will be determining whether or not Donald and his sycophants deploying military personnel without state leaders' approval violated federal law. I mean, to me, that seems like a no-brainer, but I don't think we can count on that anymore. Hopefully, the Trump regime will see at least some repercussions. So, what is the cost of Donald's using the National Guard and members of the military as his own pawns to seek revenge against a blue state and a blue state governor just because they don't agree with him. They don't agree with their policies, and they are willing to get out and in the streets and peacefully protest to register their disdain and their disagreement. Well, we are going to have to wait to find out, but I don't think it's going to be anything good. Please take a second and like and share this video. Be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.